Hello, everyone. It's August 4th, 2013, and many of you probably have heard about the Global Travel Advisory. What it says to me, I heard about it a couple days ago. I also heard there's a lot of chatter about a potential terrorist attack somewhere, and there's U.S. consulates, there's embassies, in different countries that are, being advised to stay closed for today, through today. Whatever it means. It could be a contrived threat, it could be a real threat. What I want people to understand is that it is the mainstream media, it is the government itself that is perpetrating all of this fear and violence. And can't say it any plainer than that. If it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for the fact that they actually create and fund these terrorist groups, including Al-Qaeda, that we would be basically in a fear-free world. The type of racism in the United States and abroad that is being perpetrated is a deliberate act of the mainstream media. If it wasn't for the fact that during the Trayvon Martin fiasco, that it was, you name it, whatever news agency, belaboring the point over and over and over again, and manipulating actual footage of the 911 calls and just the motivation, all of it was contrived. They're setting up rampant racism in the United States. The borders on Mexico, in the Mexican coming into the United States is very soft. I mean, they're bringing in illegals. They are giving them, rapid citizenship, or they're giving them methods in order to, stay and have a track to citizenship, with fees they need to pay and what have you. That is unprecedented. And what this means, and I'm not racist. I mean, I have nothing against Hispanics. What I have an issue with is illegal immigration, and the fact that we have so many Americans that are losing white-collar and blue-collar jobs, and they're getting to the point where they need to take jobs that 20 years ago they wouldn't really necessarily want to take. But we've got this huge influx still continuing, and from Mexico we have mothers that are having babies, and they're like natural citizens, so it's like the parents maybe get to stay. But it's getting more and more violent on different levels because people are getting desperate, and it's on the fringes still. But what we're dealing with is a cancer. And the cancer really is globalism. And I'm telling you that the perpetrators are the globalists themselves. Every single fear tactic, every single racist comment, every single thing that has to do with divide and conquer, I cannot stress this enough. Everything that has to do with dividing humanity is a direct action of the globalist. Directly. It doesn't matter if it's MSNBC, CNN, it doesn't matter. These talking heads are being told what to say from the top. There's only so many conglomerates out there. And then there's the alternative media, which is, the real media. I mean, we're being lied to constantly. So what I want people to wrap their heads around is the fact that everything you're hearing in mainstream media you need to take with a grain of salt, and you really need not to believe. The first thing that comes out of their mouths, you need to start questioning. You need to get out of your trance, and I'm talking about literal trance. I'm not trying to insult people, but when you sit down in front of a TV, you really need to research what's happening to your physical brain. When you are watching TV, you're induced into an alpha state, close to sleep, and you're being programmed. Why do you think they call it television programming? And if you look at your eyes, what your eyes are, it's the only visible part of the brain that can be seen. Okay, this is part of your brain, your eyes. It's a receptor, okay, of information. And as the information goes into the receptor, it hits different areas of the brain, so you can decipher if you use your brain and to be able to make a coherent decision for yourself as to what is coming at you. Because it could be something benign, it could be something severely dangerous, it could be something beautifully pleasurable, it could be something informative, it could be something that draws creativity out of you. I mean, we're human biological computers, and we are here to have our own unique experience of where we've been placed. And the world itself is a miraculous place. I don't care if you believe in God or not. I believe in God. Good God. I have much evidence in my life. I can tell you stories as to why I have a firmly entrenched faith in God. And maybe one day, I'll discuss it on a video. But the bottom line is, we're all beautiful human beings. And every single media outlet that's fixating on something like the Trayvon Martin scandal. I mean, there was many references to George Zimmerman being white, which he's not, he's Hispanic. And the word cracker was thrown around, even by white people. I mean, all right, what I'm saying is that there's open mental illness in the mainstream media. Okay? If you have not read 1984, go pick it up. Read it. Read it twice. And understand. Get Brave New World also, because a lot of what's being pushed as far as like this wonderful world of genetically modified organisms and splicing of animals and the selling of baby fetuses to different countries for different scientific means and what organs can be given. It's so satanic, it's beyond comprehension. I'm sitting here trying to tell you the truth of how you're being manipulated, and of course there is people much better known than me, more well spoken than me, but I'm very concerned. And and anybody who's watched my videos has heard me expound on the need for Glass-Steagall. And right now, the LaRouche Political Action Committee is escalating their efforts in Congress and in the public media as much as possible to make people understand the severity of the need for Glass-Steagall. If it's not reinstated, then the Wall Street bankers, all the investment firms will continue this swapping of really toxic debt, and it will keep ballooning. And Ben Bernanke, or the next Fed chairman, will continue quantitative easing, which is basically, flooding the market with dollars, which further just dilutes it. If you can just think in terms of, the less that's used of something, the stronger it is. If you're spending, $1 on a candy bar instead of $10 on a candy bar, then you're ahead of the game. But they're flooding the market with dollars. Nobody wants to buy our treasuries. It's the Fed that's buying the treasuries now. I mean, there's alarm bells going off all over the place. And what's really dangerous at this point is that they may try and cover it all up with a huge global war. And we don't really want to go there. And, it may be too late. Activists like me who are absolute nobodies, we're either going to help humanity and we're going to survive and thrive, or it's going to get so hellish. You just don't understand. And you people everybody needs to get out of the normalcy bias that they're in. You have to look at what happened in Boston as, an indicator. After the drill, which happened during the race, with bomb-sniffing dogs at the beginning and the end of the race, and all the military personnel and all the police officers that could not stop the bomb from going off, and all the patsies in the crowd. There was, the mainstream media told you, don't look at it. They told the press corps, they told, agencies, do not look at anything other than these two suspects. When there were FBI agents, there were other patsies in the crowd that were assembled that day with backpacks. They picked out the two, the Tarazai brothers, whatever their name was. And the older brother was affiliated with the FBI. He was a form of asset. And it was for like 5 years. And I don't know how much the younger brother, the one that can't really speak freely in public because he's being so dominated and controlled, because he pleaded not guilty to the charges, probably because he's innocent. But you have to understand, the rollout was what happened in the streets of quiet suburban neighborhoods, than when they were looking for this 19-year-old kid. If you did not see the armored vehicles, if you did not see the teens with automatic machine guns, if you didn't see, in some of these tanks, armored vehicles, the doors on the roof, which were open, where you had these people, these military men with machine guns, there's a notorious picture, an infamous picture of one that's this soldier has directed his sights at somebody in the window, in a window of their own house. If you look for it, you can find it. If you Google aftermath of the Boston bombings, or Army and police in Boston or Massachusetts neighborhoods after the Boston bombing. It's outrageous. It's outrageous that this is happening in the United States. And people they're in denial of the amount of armaments being shipped in. They're in denial about the actual reports that you can find on government websites of the 2 billion bullets with a B that the DHS has purchased. Hollow point bullets. Hollow point bullets are more expensive than Full Metal Jacket, and the Full Metal Jacket are what is used for practice. And they've actually they've lied about the amount too, but they've lied about, these things are just for practice and this is for surplus. It's twofold. Number one, they want a fight they want to instigate, or they want to incite violence in the liberty movement. Essentially, those that just want to be left alone and enjoy the Constitution, which we have, which has been shredded. Second, they just want to stockpile it, so if something does happen, there's also less of a chance of success of ordinary Americans. That's why there's an attack on the Second Amendment. That's why we need to be very concerned about the UN treaty regarding weapons in the United States and people's ability to actually defend themselves. People need to understand. Glass-Steagall needs to be implemented. We need to impeach. We need to arrest, really, so many people that that are screwing us over. And people need to understand this. There's a lot more of us than there are of them. And if you just wake out of your trance, wake out of your zombie state, and understand that you have been duped. You have been lied to over and over and over and over and over again. If you get this through your head, all of this nightmare, the fear that's being fed us on a constant basis, will go away. Because I'm telling you, you're being manipulated beyond your comprehension. You are being sold whatever you're buying. Whether it's the propaganda, or it's the Coke that you drink, or the cigarettes that you smoke, or the clothes that you buy. You know, look into Edward Bernays, the father of propaganda. He wrote the book Propaganda. He was the son of a bitch that back, I guess, in the roaring 20s at a Macy's Day Parade, actually opened up the second half of the market for smoking when he introduced the whole idea of smoking for women. That's a fact. That is a fact. He had a bunch of debutantes light up at one time during a Macy's Day Parade, and they were called Torches of Freedom. And women started smoking more and more and more, and the rest is history as far as like cancer rates, the cost of the shit, all of that. But people were manipulated, and people have continued to be. You are very brainwashed. You've got to accept this. You're very brainwashed. And I'm not the one doing it. I'm trying to tell you to snap out of it right now, because we're in critical condition in the United States. It's not a joke. Call your congressman, hound your congressman, about Glass-Steagall. Make sure you have a clear understanding of just the basics of it, and understand that this is not a game. Because the Dodd-Frank Act that's in, right now, that is enacted, it is law. They will do bail-ins on people's bank accounts the exact same way they did in Cyprus. And they were taking up, I think it's like upwards of 47%, depending on the deposits. But taking half of people's money in savings. Do you understand? You've got to see that there's been a corporate takeover. We live under fascism now. And what I'm saying is, in the last gasping breaths the Republic has already been decimated, but in the last gasping breaths of freedom, of any lasting freedom, you need to stand up now, because it's getting too late. And if you look at me like I'm crazy, it's a real shame, because it's going to be like a domino. You think of a whole think of city blocks of dominoes, okay? And somebody taps the first one. It's exactly what it's going to be like. You think you're safe, you think you're not in line. You need to study democide. You need to look at the countries under Mao, Stalin, Hitler, Pol Pot. There were millions killed. So I would suggest you just take, a good hard look at yourself in the mirror, and then study democide first, and get behind Glass-Steagall. And if you can, pick another area of your choosing, because Agenda 21 is Israel, and that's part of the plan of that's eugenics behind it, where they're going to kill billions with a B, billions. There's 7.5 now or something like that. They want to get it down to like 1. In the Georgia Guidestones, they recommend 500 million. We've got to get rid of the maniacs. We've got to imprison them. We have to do something. Each one of us. And if we don't, we've asked for it. I'll talk until I've either helped save humanity or get black bagged. That's what it amounts to.